It's 4:30, so I'm going to get us started. I know a few more people said they were going to show up a little late, or they're just going to catch the recording. So just to remind you all, because I did have a few people who were not aware, forgot that I do record all of these. So if you ever want to review them, or if you want to share them with a friend, or I don't know, if there's literally anything that you want to do with a recording, you'll get it in that follow-up email. And then I've also been adding them to my website so that you can go and check them out there. They're on the digital marketing mini sessions page, which can be found under resources. So, and then of course, as always, if you ever are looking for something in particular and you just can't find it, just shoot me a quick email. I'm always happy to help. I hope that this is a really helpful tool for all of you, and so I'm happy to share it as often as I can. As a reminder, because I know most, if not all of you have been here before, which is so fun and exciting. If you have any questions at any point during this time, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the Q&A section. I will make sure that we answer them all at the end. And this one will be a little bit different than normal. So if you have something broader about email marketing that you want to ask, please feel free to include those questions as well. I know that this feels like a very specific topic of which email marketing platform is right for you. So if there's something a little bit broader that you want to know more about, totally fine to answer those questions. As long as it's around email marketing, this is a perfect time to ask it. And as always, if you have any other questions about digital marketing or you want to schedule a consultation, you get a free 30 minutes with me just for showing up. So you can always reach out. I'd be happy to chat. But let's get started. So like I said, today we're going to talk about how to choose the right email marketing platform for you. And there are literally so many out there. I started to make a list and then I was like, this is just way too much. And there's always new ones popping up, right? So today I'm not going to necessarily take us through a breakdown of every specific platform because that would just be too much. And honestly, that would be really boring probably for most people. And so I want to talk through just the top 5 questions that you should really be asking yourself and really be looking for. Now, everyone's purpose for email marketing is different. So there might be some things that you need or don't need. And knowing that ahead of time is really helpful. And then the other tip I'm going to give you guys is that just set aside some time one day to go and look through all of them. Open up some free trials for every platform. Make sure that if you do that, if they take your credit card, to set a reminder to cancel it if you decide not to go with that platform. But going through and answering these questions as you actually look at the platforms can be really, really helpful. So just play around with them. If you need something, you can always use my email as like a special, test email or something. But those are always really, really helpful ways to go about it. So just gonna preface with that, but let's jump in. So today, like I said, we're going to talk through these 5 questions, and they're going to be, is the interface user-friendly and easy to navigate? And I mean that specifically for you, right? So you are going to want to be the expert of your platform, because even if you're hiring someone else to do all the work for you day to day, you're going to want to be able to have that ownership, to be able to understand, okay, when I go into here and I look at this, I can see what is going on. I can tell where I can find the information I need. Specifically, and especially if you aren't super familiar with the person you're hiring. Unfortunately, I've had quite a few clients come to me because they've had terrible experiences with people before, and their people were not being completely honest, right, about their numbers and about the success and all these different things. And so when they finally went in to go look at it, they saw, wait, these things aren't adding up. So making sure that you have a platform that you know and understand is really important. Plus, if anything were to happen that, the person got sick, or all of a sudden the person you've hired can no longer do that work, but you still have content that needs to go out, you being able to manage it is really important. So picking a user-friendly system is really, really vital. And then talking about list management, which I'll go into that a little bit more. So making sure that the system that you pick has the right list set up for you, right? So there's a lot of different options that people can have, but you don't always need to have more than one audience list. And every platform kind of can name these things differently. So making sure that you understand those is really helpful. And then the third thing is, do they have a sign-up system, and how can you integrate that across your platforms? Fourth, can you schedule your emails? This is going to be a huge, huge thing, especially as you continue to grow your business. Being able to create those emails ahead of time is going to save you so much time and energy. And oftentimes it's really helpful too, because I will create something, schedule it, and then realize I want to add something later, and I can go back in real quick because I know when it's going to go out, right? And then lastly is, will it remain within your budget as your list grows? And so we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, but making sure that you're picking something, knowing that your audience is going to grow with you. And so thinking ahead and saying, okay, how much do I really want to spend on a platform? Because once you're in, it's not that you can't find another one. It just is that much harder, right? So those are the 5 things we're going to talk through today. Let's jump into that first one. Like Michael Scott says, this is the worst. So that's what you don't want to be like, right? We want to pick an interface that's going to be really easy to use. So it's easy. Things to look for is like, is it easy to see what you've sent and what you're working on? Sometimes it can get really complicated and jumbled, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. So do you want a list set up? Do you want to physically see the emails? Like mine gives me a little preview of every email, which I actually really like because I use specific images at the beginning of emails to help identify them. Second, like, can you find your audience easily? I know that with MailChimp, while I use it for a lot of clients and it's a great tool, they change things up all the time. I was literally in there this morning working for a client on an email, and they were like, hey, by the way, all your automations, which we do have, are now in this place right here. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know, but I never would have been able to find that out. So understanding where you can see each piece of your site easily, and if you're able to track with what they're doing. Changing up that interface constantly is one thing that really frustrates me with MailChimp, but they do a great job with other things, and so it keeps me around, right? So making sure that especially you can find your audience, because you want to be able to track those metrics. You want to know who's on your list, what's going on, all that fun stuff. Whoops. That's what I get for using a trackpad. Okay. What kind of automation do they have? So looking at the systems they have for automation, whether or not that's something you want to use right this second, as your business grows, it'll probably be something you want to look into in the future. So knowing ahead of time, okay, how do they set up their automation? Is that something I understand? What plan do I have to be on to get automation? So for example, MailChimp, which I'm going to use them as an example just because I have the most experience with them and Flowdesk. Their automation system is great, and you can send one email like as many times you can send an email. I don't know why words are failing me today. An email to anyone at any point automatically, right? And you can do that as many times as you want, but I can't do 2 emails, if that makes sense. So if I wanted to send like a welcome email to everyone who gets on my list, that's great. I can send that. I can also send a single automated email for someone who signs up to download a freebie. That's great. That's awesome. That's one email for each of those actions, right? But let's say I wanted to send a follow-up email to that welcome email. Well, I can't do that unless I go up in the payment plan. So understanding those things as well is really helpful. And if you're only looking to send like one email, one automated step, then that's fine. That's great. But think about, okay, are there other things that I'm going to want to be able to do? So that's a piece of automation that I've found that's really important to think ahead on. And then fourth, can you create the forms and reports you need really easily? And can you find them? Gosh, sometimes finding the data for things can get super, super like in-depth and just crazy and complicated. And so the platforms I really like to use are the ones who have it all in one place, where I can create my forms in one place and download the reports that I need and just have it all be really super simple and easy. So looking into those different pieces is really helpful as well. And then lastly, how do you make the physical emails themselves? A lot of platforms now are using drag and drop, and you can go in and do all of that, but there are some that you still might have to do some level of coding, right? Which seems crazy now, but to really get it specific and customized, sometimes you have to know those things. So understanding what makes sense to you and what you like to work with is really helpful. So go in, create a campaign or an email in that trial time and play around with it and see what happens and what works. And see what's kind of intuitive to you. It's really funny. A couple clients of mine are always so surprised when I can turn things around so quickly, but it's because I've been using MailChimp for years. And even now with Flowdesk, I've been using it for quite a few months. And so I can really get in there and just quickly create new content and change things up. But it took me some time. So even if it's not the easiest thing at the first point, consider your different options and think, okay, what will I learn like the quickest, and what will I understand in the long run? So understanding those different pieces is really, really helpful. Okay, so that's the interface. That's typically the thing that I find is most important to make sure that you've got a good handle on. And then the next question is about list management, right? And so finding a system that meets your needs. And this is where I also want to talk a little bit about segments and tagging. So a big question is, how many lists are you going to use? Like, do you want to have a marketing list, a clients list, a special contacts list? Like, what are the different things that you want to have and different lists of people that you want to be talking to? That can be really helpful to know ahead of time. But the thing is, with segments and tags, you can actually take one list and create multiples, right? So I could even have all of my clients and all my prospects on one list. But if I segment and tag them correctly, I'm able to use that one list constantly. And that's really helpful also in budgeting, because the more lists you have, oftentimes the more money you have to pay. So let's talk about segments and tags real quick. So an audience can be segmented, and then within those segments and that audience, you can tag someone, right? And so this is specifically about, I'm talking about MailChimp and Flowdesk. Different, platforms will use different words, but the way that these two and most platforms use it is with this vocabulary. So you have your audience, your big picture, right? So this might be, for example, okay, I'll give an example. So I have my audience within Flowdesk, and it's all my subscribers. They're all in one audience. But within that, I have multiple segments. So I have a segment of everyone who signed up for the Monday Morning Fix. So they're segmented. Then I have a segment for everyone who signs up for these webinars. So that's a different segment. And sometimes those segments overlap. And then I also have segments for people who have downloaded different freebies, right? So that's how, and Flowdesk does it mainly segmented. You can put some tags, but anyway, they do a lot of segments because you can put multiple segments in. With MailChimp, I could do that same thing. And then I might get to, okay, I have a segment for my Monday Morning Fix, and I have a segment for my webinars. Well, within each of those, anyone who maybe signs up for the Monday Morning Fix also downloaded my social media template. And so they're now tagged as having downloaded that. So I know that can kind of sound confusing. I don't want to go too far into it because without showing it, sometimes it can be like, what are you talking about? But all of these things keep it within that same audience list, right? So in MailChimp, you have to pay more money for every, I think, 2 new audiences or something like after 2 audiences, or maybe it's just 1 now, you have to pay more money. Well, for a lot of my clients, I say, well, let's keep that budget small, and you can take that one huge list of everyone you know, and let's go through and say, okay, these are your clients and these are your prospects. Let's label them. Now you have to make sure you keep up with that. That's the one thing. Let's label them accordingly so that if you want to send out just some communication to just your clients, maybe there's something specific related to COVID, for example. Like I had a client who had some in-person meetings with clients on a regular basis. And so we had to segment out just the people who are actually meeting with her on a regular basis. And we were able to do that because we had them segmented that way. So it just saves you a lot of time. It can also save you time if people are interested in certain aspects of your business. So let's say, for example, social media marketing, email marketing, and web design are my top 3 services I offer, right? So if I had sent out a poll and said, what are you interested in learning about? And people signed up, I can say, okay, for everyone who wants to learn about social media marketing, I'm just going to send them this email, and I can just select those people. And so they've self-selected into those segments, into those tags. So that helps me to really even be more specific and personalized in my messaging because it's going to people that I know care about that topic. So I know that's a lot, but that's something that can be really helpful to look at when looking at these different platforms is, okay, how do they manage their lists? What does it cost? And is it easy for me to come in and segment or tag or divide this one list up? So Again, that could be really complicated. If you want to know more about that, I'm happy to talk some more through that. But those are some things that I think are really helpful that we don't always think about, right? Okay, so let's go on to the next one because I want to leave time for some questions. Okay, do they have a sign-up system that you can integrate across platforms? So I'm going to show you some examples of the different options that Flowdesk has. So this big one right here on the far right, my right, I think it's still the same for you guys, is the landing page. And so this is essentially a standalone page that I can create, and it's really simple and easy. MailChimp lets you create an even more comprehensive one, but this is something that if you click on it, it'll open in your browser, right? It's a whole new tab. And so I use those a lot for you probably, if you've signed up for literally anything, even this webinar, that's probably how you got there, right? This other one on the left is a pop-up. So this is an example of a pop-up. Now this is something that I can take code actually from Flowdesk and put it into my website really easily, and it'll automatically pop up. And so they've configured it to be able to do that. They've designed it that way. And then this last one on the bottom is technically a ribbon or a banner. And so this is something I can embed into my website. And if you go on my website, you'll probably see like sign up for a newsletter, Monday Morning Fix, all that fun stuff that I can just embed right in there. And so having these different options is really helpful because if I want to market things differently, like I love the landing pages for any signups for anything in particular that I want to promote. So like whether it's this webinar, whether it's a freebie, whatever it is, I put it up there. The pop-ups are really great when I see people coming to the website first. And then the subscription, the inline ribbon is great for when people are scrolling, right? I can just put it in there. It's in my footer. It's just there constantly, and actually get some pretty good traction there as well. So looking at these different options and seeing what your platform offers is really helpful, and thinking through, okay, what are the things that I want to be able to do and how can I do it? Most platforms offer these three at minimum, but sometimes they can get really complicated to make. So even checking out, okay, how do I do this? Do I have to do coding? Do I have to do an extensive amount of coding to add it to my website? Or is it really just like a copy and paste kind of thing? So asking those questions, looking at how they set up the sign-up systems, and can you get really specific is really, really helpful. Okay, next up we have scheduling your emails. I mean, it's pretty simple, but the more that you can schedule ahead of time, the better and the easier it is for you. So making sure that you're looking at the different options. So like I said, MailChimp, they're going to make you pay, I think, the very base plan. I think it was like $10 a month minimum for you to just be able to schedule your content, which, you know, is fine. It's great. But I'm like, really, I want to be able to schedule it even if it's for free. But that might be asking too much. So I really enjoy this, and I can schedule the content at any time. So I can customize the day, the time, all that fun stuff. And then of course, MailChimp now you get to, they want to give you like an optimized time. So they look at data and say, hey, by the way, this is the time that best performs for your kind of content. You have to pay more money. So looking at all these different things is really helpful in deciding what's most important for you. Now, if you are still not scheduling out your content, if you are like, I'm just sending it when I'm done with it, then that's totally fine. But I would think ahead to, okay, when I have maybe someone else doing this for me, or when I want to bulk create and schedule content, that is really, really helpful. So I really enjoy that. And that is a big plus for me. All right, the last one is budget. So everyone's budget's going to be different, and how much money you spend is really up to you, but definitely looking at a subscriber scale versus a flat rate is going to be really important. So for example, most platforms are going to be subscriber scale. So the more subscribers you get, the more money they're going to charge. And so thinking ahead to, okay, how many people do I want on my list? How quickly do I think I'll hit that? How much money do I need to be bringing in for me to, you know, validate this business expense? That's a really important question to ask yourself. A flat rate is exactly what it sounds like. It's a one-time fee or monthly, like a one-time rate. Flowdesk is a one-time $19 a month rate, which I love. No matter how many subscribers I get, no matter how many emails I want to send, it's all the same amount of money, which I love. It's great. So definitely looking at that, and every platform is going to be different. I know Constant Contact, I think some people it's like $45 a month, whereas a similar plan on MailChimp is like $10 a month or $20 a month. So looking at those different rates and seeing kind of where their cutoff points is really helpful. So definitely making sure you're not throwing money out the window like that baby is a really, really helpful way to process through, okay, do I want to pay by the subscriber or do I really just want to keep it at one specific rate? And if you think your list is going to grow quickly, keeping that in mind as well. All right, now it's time for the Q&A. I know that was a lot of information kind of coming at you, and sometimes it takes a minute to process. So feel free to drop any questions you have about anything to do with email marketing even. It doesn't have to specifically be about choosing the right platform, but feel free to drop a question in the chat or in the Q&A section, and I'd be happy to answer. And if you want to share which platform you use, I'm honestly genuinely curious. I feel like most people use MailChimp or Constant Contact nowadays. Awesome. Okay, we've got a question. Elizabeth, you're asking, can you talk more about landing pages? Absolutely. So landing pages are, let me find the best way to describe them. They're essentially a standalone web page that's not necessarily associated with your website. And this I really like because it doesn't impact the SEO of your website in the same way. So for example, let's see, I wonder if I can pull up a landing page. That might be too complicated. I'm trying to share the screen at the same time. So for example, for the webinars signups, when you go to my website and you go to the mini session resource page, it has all that information. That's the web page. But when you click to register, it'll take you to a different web page. It'll open a new page in your browser, and that is a landing page for signing up for the webinars. And so this is something where I could put even more information if I wanted to, like if there was something really specific or I wanted to include like testimonials or things like that. I like to keep it simple just because I kind of have all that other stuff on the other page. But it's where people directly are going to sign up and give their email and their information, all that fun stuff. And it's connected to the audience that you already have. And most landing pages, you can even already put in, okay, when they sign up through this specific form, they're going to be added to this segment. They're going to be tagged in this way. They're going to be listed into this group, all that fun, fancy stuff. It already has you put all that in from the beginning. So you don't later have to go in and be like, okay, this person signed up from this page. I don't know what they wanted to do, like all that fun stuff, or not so fun stuff. You can really get all that information in the beginning. So that's kind of the easiest way I think to kind of describe a landing page is it's essentially a separate standalone web page that's not affiliated with your website, but is affiliated with the event that you're doing. That's a great question. Okay, another question. Okay, so if your email list grows, does your cost grow with the platform? Yes, so the most, I don't want to say for all, but most platforms are going to charge you more money the larger your list gets. So it depends upon which platform you go with or what it looks like, but pretty much as far as I know, like 99% of them will charge on that scale amount. And then another great question, is there one platform or another for helping you to grow your email list? Is totally independent. I wouldn't say that there's necessarily one platform that'll help you. It's more of how you plan to grow your email list. So if you plan to do it with a lot of like signups for like different downloadables, or if you grow it with like a webinar, it kind of doesn't really matter because you can just create pages for that, like landing pages or signups that way. But if you wanted to do something with like a giveaway, just knowing how you want to process that information can help you there. But most platforms are going to be built to help you grow your list similarly. It's more of what you do outside of the platform that's going to help you to do that. So understanding, okay, if I'm going to post on social media, if I'm going to do a giveaway, how does that integrate with the other systems that I'm using? And that'll help you to be able to kind of flesh that out. So it's a great question. Okay, so Julia says, I like the way you did it high level, not platform dependent. I was always confused about what a segment was when I first started using MailChimp. Oh, I'm glad that you found that helpful. Yeah, I was also confused the first time I started using MailChimp. It's like, what are these different things? And then I finally did some research and I was like, oh, this actually kind of makes sense. And it's really helpful. So great questions, you guys. All right, any other questions? If not, no worries. Got a couple more minutes, so I'll go through some announcements. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Whoops, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Somehow I gave people talking ability, which, anyway, excuse me, once I got distracted. Trying to navigate all these different things on my page. So let's go to the final announcement. So as always, I would love to hear any feedback from you. If there's something you liked or something you didn't like, or if there's a specific topic that you want me to talk about or go into more detail, please feel free to share that with me. You can either fill out any of these forms, which the links will be included in the follow-up email and in this PowerPoint, which I'll share with you guys in that email, or you can just respond directly to the follow-up email with any thoughts and ideas. So I would love to hear that. And if you want to share a review, I can feature you on my website. And so anyone will be able to see your review, and then also be able to click to go to your website. So if you're looking for some new opportunities there, please feel free to share that as well. Next week, we're going to be talking about the psychology behind incredible web design. So July was all about email marketing. Next month in August, we're going to be talking all about web design, which is going to be a great lead into the last announcement there, the beta testers. So I think most of you have heard about this. If not, I'll kind of give another quick run through. So I am creating a digital course because these mini sessions have been so successful and have gotten such great feedback that people want more, which I'm constantly humbled by. I think that that's so wonderful that you guys find them so valuable. And so I'm creating a course specifically so that we can go into more detail about these specific topics, so I can really engage better with you instead of kind of this one-sided dialogue lecture, being able to create a course where we'll have opportunities to actually communicate with one another, to communicate with other people within that. And so all of that is going to be launching in September, but I want to do a beta test beforehand. And so I think some of you have already signed up, which I'm super excited about. And so I'm taking quite a few people to come and take the course ahead of time. And so all you have to do is sign up to be a beta tester and then complete the test complete the course within 2 weeks from getting it. So I think it's August 22nd to I want to say September 7th or something like that. And the only reason I ask that is because I want to be able to launch it in September. And so getting as much feedback ahead of time for the entire course is really, really vital. And so as a beta tester, you'll get early access to all the courses. So I'm really planning to go not just through web design, but through social media, email marketing, everything. And then also you'll get 25% off of those future courses as well. So early access, 25% off, plus early access and free access to this first session, which is going to be all about web design. So I'm going to take you through really how to create a website, why it's important to start with a website, and I'm going to talk through different platforms such as WordPress, Squarespace, and Shopify, and really help you to decide, okay, where should I create my site? How should I create it? What's the best way to go about doing all these things? How do I set up SEO? Like, everything that I can possibly give, I'm going to be putting into this course. So if you want to be a part of that beta test, please respond to the email I send. There'll also be a link in the email, the follow-up email, to just sign up for the form. And so as long as you do that before August 22nd, you'll be added to that and get all those perks. And if you have any questions about it, please feel free to let me know. A lot of the feedback I'm looking for are things like, is this content helpful? Is there a way I can simplify these concepts even more? What kind of price point would you be, thinking that you'd be willing to pay for this, that kind of stuff, basically everything. So If there's anyone you think that would also benefit from this, please feel free to share the link with them. And if there's literally any other thoughts or ideas that you have about this, please feel free to send them my way. I really want to create this as a resource, especially for small business owners who are just starting up and don't necessarily have a major budget to invest in marketing, but they can invest in themselves and in understanding these concepts to really help them to essentially make more money. I want you to be able to be as successful as possible and make as much money as you possibly can, so that you can really enjoy the work that you're doing, and help to create a better community, right? So all these different things. It's super exciting. I'm super pumped about it. It's both like super exciting and also terrifying because it's a big task ahead of me. But I know everyone has been super, super supportive so far. And if you find these sessions helpful, I hope you'll find that as well. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. I'm a minute over, so if you need to pop out, that's totally fine. If you have any questions or if you want to do a 30-minute session with me, please feel free to reach out. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day and a great weekend. I think it's going to rain, so try to stay dry. Bye.